everyone, I'm Shanna. Welcome back to this channel, and this is Lebo. He is a fourth year, which means final year medical student. Also at UBC Medical School, studies at the SMP campus, which is in Kelowna. And I think one of the coolest things about UBC is we have all these distributed sites. So we have the big one at Vancouver, and then we have one in Victoria and Kelowna and in Prince George. So it's like, how did you end up deciding like you wanted to do SMP?
NMP was definitely an option. It would have been nice. Now that I think about it, like, you don't realize how much money you spend in med school. And I think if I was going from a strictly economic sort of standpoint, if I stayed at NMP, was able to live with my family, and that's economically speaking, things would have been much less devastating. Kelowna, for a number of reasons, was first on my rank list. Having visited before, having like some connections in the area, kind of while I was in Prince George, I was very, very enticed by the idea of being able to like live here and do med school here. So a bit of personal connection, and then a bit of environmentally, Kelowna is nice in that I love Prince George. But like 6 months of snow is like a lot sometimes, whereas Vancouver is just a lot of rain and kind of on the island too. But in Kelowna, you've actually got snow, and it's not there for too long or too little. It's like Goldilocks. It's just the right amount of snow. It's just the right amount of like temperate, and then you've got Big White like 45 minutes away. You've got Silver Star if you want to go to Vernon. So you've got really awesome mountains. A student pass at Big White, I don't know if they'll change it, but like I think a student pass at Big White's like $600 or maybe less, and that's for a full season. I mean, there's Whistler for sure. I don't know if there's passes are $600, but so I think you get to enjoy a lot of outdoorsy kind of things at a really high level for like a decent price.
I would agree with Kelowna. Definitely, when I visited you guys in last spring, I was like, even when it's like snowing, it's kind of a different vibe from like it being like gloomy and rainy, because it's like there's snow on the ground but it's sunny. People, that's a really big factor for sure. Like I hear some people that come from out of town, other provinces, they're like, the rain, they can't stand the rain here.
So why is SMP best SMP? Okay, well, there's numerous ways to look at this. We can look from a purely emotional standpoint. We can look from a geographical standpoint. I think Kelowna is really nice in the sense that so here's the thing. I came from Prince George, though. So Prince George is small. So for me, Kelowna is like big. So for me, it's big, but not too big. Though I did love Vancouver. I think if I went to VSMP, I would have been extremely happy. I probably would have invested in like some Flintstones and a good like rain jacket and stuff. Yeah. But Kelowna. So SMP, why is SMP best SMP? Like the faculty here is super supportive. Everyone knows you by name, and throughout each stage of your training. So from first year to second year, third year to fourth year, like you've always got people that can support you and check in with you and like know you on a regular basis. Like our old student affairs dean, I think. I don't know what the actual title is, but she checks in with us like every year sort of thing. And, for me, when I was starting third year and stuff and talking about, like, this is a specialty I'm in and that sort of thing. And she was like, oh, like, that's awesome. Like, there's, past students, ones that I would have never met because either they graduated before I even started, that she's still in contact with. And she actually, gave me like their email addresses and stuff. And I was able to reach out to them, find out where they are now and like how they're like in their specialties and that sort of thing. Yeah. So that aspect, I think, of mentorship and like support in that sense is something I like about SMP. It's not something that gets handed to you on a silver platter for sure. Like you kind of have to work on it too. Like here we also have like I think in Vancouver you guys have mentorship groups, right? Like I know some of them go running. Like I think there's the one with one of the plastic surgeons where like they go running and stuff like that. Here we kind of have that. It's definitely like something you need to be a bit more of a self-starter with kind of thing. It's kind of easy here to just sort of like not coast necessarily, but like I think because it's a young program still in a way. Like the first graduating class was 2015, so I don't know, I might be making that up, but it's still like a sort of young program, and so there is that sense of like eagerness. Like people do want to support this new kind of thing, but you also have to like put energy yourself. So I know like during pre-clin, like we had a mentor that was an interventional radiologist here, and as long as we as students like reached out and said, hey, like, do you have any dates where we could all like meet up together for some sort of mentorship thingy, like she was very open and receptive, and so we were able to organize things like that. So from that standpoint, SMP is great. I don't know, I feel like Kelowna generally always picks like absolute gems as students. Like everyone I know in each year is great. Like I've been able to make friends with people almost like in every year. I remember when I was in first year, we have like a little clinical academic campus, like a little study library at the hospital. And I think I saw a guy with like an orange backpack. So I think that's the 2016, maybe 2017 class. I don't know. And I was just like walking by him, and I was like, oh, like, are you in this like year sort of thing? I was like, yeah, like, and just super nice guy, introduced himself. And I was like, yo, like, do you mind if I ask you questions just about like med in general and things like that? And like to this day, like we still talk like regularly and stuff. We're homies on Instagram and stuff, and he's like doing awesome things in a very intense residency right now, but still like makes time to like reach out, and he even wants to like reach out to the classes like now. Like he graduated in 2017, but he's like doing like a rotation here, and he's like, hey, like, I can talk to you guys about what's life like in like a surgical residency and that sort of thing. And so there's that sort of like mentorship kind of I don't know if atmosphere is the right word, but people look out for each other here because like we know like it's a smaller program, like we're newer, and we have to support each other sort of thing. So
thinking about like, I think I was intimidated coming into med, maybe some bit of imposter syndrome, like that everyone would be so smart and no one would really like talk to me. But I think they're really, whatever they do, they're really good at selecting people for every site and every year. It's like really good people that you will find someone that you'll vibe with. And that's really awesome. Yeah.
If anyone's watching this and you're trying to decide which sites should I go to, come to SMP. Like Kelowna is great. We have like I think a new bubble tea shop opened just like a week or so ago. So we're getting up there. We got Chalk Time, we got Onezo, we've got a couple little mom and pop shops, that sort of thing. A bunch of breweries open up too. As crazy as it gets in the summer with everyone visiting, in the winter it's so nice here too. Like I think cost of living is like okay. It's probably like the third cheapest out of like. Wait, am I ordering that right? Okay, Prince George is the cheapest cost of living for sure, and then Kelowna, and then I don't know. I feel like the island and Vancouver are probably pretty on par with each other. One thing for people that care, I don't know. So Kelowna is a very homogenous place. In generally, people here are, healthy, wealthy, Caucasian. That's like I'd say like 80%. I don't know what the stats are. How that impacts like clerkship and stuff is, when you think about other kind of cultural considerations or ethnic considerations, if you're at SMP, you're not necessarily exposed to those sorts of things. And those are something that you'll probably get exposed to later in fourth year as opposed to in your third year. So, if you're in a place that has like a high immigrant population, you might get more exposure with using translation services and that sort of thing. Whereas here, like, I haven't had to use translation services once. I think like the only opportunity I've had to like use another language was just like for fun. When I was on ortho, we had a lady that was Japanese, and like I did a exchange semester in Japan during undergrad and stuff. So like I'm like conversationally okay. So I was like, oh, like, and she spoke English anyway, but I was like, yo, can I do my history in Japanese? And she was like, sure. So we did like ortho histories are super short, so it was super easy. But we did like that in Japanese, and that was cool. But that's a certain aspect of clerkship and sort of I don't know, ethnic considerations that you can be mindful of coming here, is that you might not get exposed to as much variety as say in Vancouver or something like that.
I think a lot of people stress about. Some of my friends are like they went to a district site and they were a bit anxious on starting anew, making friends, which is funny because like medical school is one thing, but I think that's more of a stressful experience for some people adjusting to a new city. Not sure if they'll get in, since there's like a range of ages and interests. How did you find that?
always vary kind of year to year depending on what your cohort's like, especially if you're in one of the smaller 32 people sites. Sometimes it'll be a cohort of sort of older, like more mature students who are at a different stage of life. Sometimes everyone's like a bit younger and sort of thing. So I think transferring from like Vancouver after first semester to the site is always like it's like a new kind of reorientation to things in a way.
Yeah.
But I think a common trend, at least at S&P and hopefully at other sites, is that there's still that sense of kind of community. Like you're all part of your squad, depending on which site you're on, which site you're at. And I think that definitely helps with the transition too. I mean, as far as Kelowna goes, I love Kelowna. Kelowna is amazing. Like this place is insane. And I won't get into the Kelowna spiel right now, but like I think where you move and also who you move with are probably like some of the things that help with just that reorientation.
Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me. It was fun. If you guys liked anything he said, give it a like. But if you have any questions about SMP, you can probably pop in the comments. I'll pass them on to the group. And yeah,